All right, welcome to today's class on opportunities with KW Command. My name is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing. In today's class, I'll be taking you through starting and managing your transactions in Command. So that will be the very definition of creating opportunities, and that is creating your transactions in Command. I'll be showing you how to manage that on your pipeline and customize your sales pipelines as well to help increase your sales and productivity. And I'll also be showing you how to create commission requests to submit to your office when you go under contract, and how to submit your paperwork over to your office as well. All right, and the first thing that we want to do in order to do all of those many things I mentioned is log into KW Command. So that's where I am on my screen here. So if you are not already, if you could join me on agent.kw.com. Again, that's agent.kw.com for Command, and I always remember that like it's the agent login for kw.com. So agent.kw.com. Let's go ahead and put in our username and password. Now, if you're like me and have 9 million passwords for everything, if you're having any trouble logging in, there's a forgot password option here. Just a heads up, the password requires an uppercase letter, lowercase letter, and a number, in case that helps jog your memory. And you can click sign in. Because if you have any issue logging into Command or resetting your password right here, feel free to always shoot that over to us in an email too, support@scottleroymarketing.com. And we would just need your Command username, and then we would be able to help reset your password. And I know there's some updates going on in KW Command from KWRI's side, just in case your account runs slow or mine does. It's all for good reason, right? Because they're updating the system. Just heads up. All right, so we're logged into Command, and we just need to check on one setting in your Command account to make sure that your account is set up properly to fully be able to manage transactions in Command. So if you can join me to check on your account, let's go ahead and click your name on the very top right of Command. And then settings from that drop down. All right, so again, where I am here is I clicked on my name on the top right of Command. We're selecting settings from that drop down. All right, and from here, we just need to double check that you have either DocuSign or .loop linked up here. Now, when you're managing your transactions, anything that you do in Command, all right, will be for you as the agent tools, okay? You as the agent tools, things that you'll submit to your market center for compliance review, like your documents, and I'll explain all that as we go along. However, DocuSign or .loop is being used to actually access your forms, edit your forms, and send those over to your client for electronic signature. So either DocuSign or .loop, and this depends on which market center you're in, whether your market center is still using .loop. Most of KW is coming over to DocuSign. If you're unsure on which one you're supposed to use, feel free to ask your office staff, or you can shoot us an email, support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we can check our notes. However, you will need either DocuSign or .loop in order to access your forms and send those over to your clients to get that electronically signed. And I'll, of course, explain this further as I go along. But we do want to make sure that you have either DocuSign or .loop with this connected status. You don't need to have both like I do. But if you do not have that connected, first of all, you might have to scroll down slightly to find DocuSign as an option. And you'll want to just make sure that you click Connect Account on the right-hand side if that is not currently connected. Now, if you have any issues linking up DocuSign or .loop, or any questions on that, first of all, that won't interfere in today's class, so don't worry about that. However, shoot us an email. You can shoot us an email, support@scottleroymarketing.com, and put attention my name, which is Leah, and I'm putting this in the chat, Leah, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have directly about this class, take a look at your account specifically, So feel free to shoot me an email. All right. So now that we have checked on to make sure DocuSign or Dotloop is linked up, let's go ahead and talk about the pressing question of what the heck is an opportunity. All right, so to do that, let's come on over to the opportunities dashboard. So on the left-hand side of command, you'll see this command menu, and this is really where KWRI has centralized all your tools in command. Just a heads up, you can click that KW logo on the top left to pan this menu out. So you can easily see what icon means what, so you can get a handle on the navigation of command. So for this, we are going to the handshake icon about halfway down your list here for the opportunities section of command. And that will take you on over to your sales pipeline. So first of all, let's talk about what an opportunity is. So you're going to create an opportunity. You can do that in a couple different ways, which I'll definitely show you guys. You're going to create an opportunity each time that you have an opportunity for a closing, an opportunity for a sale. So anytime you have a new lead or you have, a new listing or buyer, you'll be creating your opportunity in order to help manage that transaction, help push that along your pipeline. Also, this is how you will start the process of getting access to your forms, getting them signed, and submitting that signed paperwork to your office for compliance review, so you can get that beautiful commission check at the end of the process. All right, so I'm going to take you through that, of course, today. But what you're seeing here, first of all, on the very top white toolbar, you might notice that you have a team pipeline and a personal pipeline. Just a heads up, if you are in a team, that may be split. So I just want to point that out. All right, you may just have one or the other, and that's totally fine as well. Okay, that's normal. You'll be able to search all opportunities right here and see all discussions here as well. And we'll talk further about these items on the top white toolbar. But as we come down, let's talk about the most obvious things on your screen here, and that's your pipelines. That's the listing pipeline, buyer pipeline, and leases. Okay, from here, on those pipelines, you will see 5 different phases. Cultivate, meaning you're growing the opportunity, growing the relationship, that cute little plant icon. So cultivate phase, appointment, active, under contract, and of course our favorite, closed. Now the point of these pipelines is to act as a very visual tool for you guys. So what's great about this is I can come in here and see, for example, okay, I have 20 opportunities in the cultivate phase. What are some action items that I can do to help move that transaction, move that opportunity from just starting the lead, cultivating the lead, to an actual appointment? I'm going to show you how you can add action items or checklist items to each one of these opportunity phases that will do just that. It'll guide you for each transaction, allow you to check off items, action items that will help push that opportunity, push that transaction down your pipeline to appointment, active, under contract, and closed. Okay, so I'll be showing you how to customize these as well. On the right-hand side, you will notice that you have your GCI listed. So for potential income and probable income, and that is separated by listing, buyers, and leases here. Now, the difference between potential income and probable income, your excuse me, sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Potential income will be the total amount of income that you produce if every single one of these opportunities closes on your pipeline. Versus the probable income, this number right here will increase the further that your opportunity or your transaction gets down the pipeline. So that makes sense because, right, the transaction is way more likely to close when it's under contract versus just when we're cultivating the relationship or setting the appointment. Right, so the probability that it's going to close will increase as it goes down the pipeline. So this number will increase as well as your opportunities move down the pipeline. So scrolling on down here past your pipelines, you will see some graphs. I just want to show you guys real quick, because I love a good graph. First of all, you'll see ratios. So how many buyers versus listings versus buyers and leases that you have. Especially if you want to focus on things like, okay, in Q4, I really want to focus on more listings. because buyers take a lot more time. What are some action items I need to do? How am I doing on that goal, right? What's my ratio here? You'll also be able to see your activity on a graph here. So you'll see that for all opportunities across the year. So you can see how your sales are increasing. And you can also separate that by listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant as well. So you can see, okay, if I select listing, if I did some major listing marketing in July, right, in theory in 90 days, we want to see a big hike in our listings, right? Because of a result of that marketing. Did that work? I can see that directly on this graph. And lastly, my favorite box here, the closings this month. So I'll show you any closings that you have coming up this month. All right, so I'm going to scroll up to the top here, and I'm going to show you how to create an opportunity. Okay, now I want you to just mentally note that the option to create an opportunity is available right from here. Okay, I'm going to show you a slightly different way to create your opportunity, because you do have to add your contact to your database first in order to create an opportunity in Command. Okay, so just put this in the back of your mind that you can also create opportunities directly from the opportunity dashboard here. The way I'm going to show you though is if you can follow me to hop on up to the contact section of Command. So contact section of Command. That'll be the second icon down for your contact database. All right, so the first thing that you need to do when creating a transaction in Command is add your contact first. So you cannot create an opportunity in Command without your contact being in your database first. So that will be your very first step here. All right, so what we're going to do is click on Add Contact on the very top right. Now, if you have a test contact in your account that you want to practice with, great. You can go ahead and just search for that contact on the left-hand side search bar. Or if you'd like to, let's go ahead and add in a contact. Right? It's really helpful for you to have a test contact in your account, so you can send yourself things, to see what it would look like when your client receives things from you before sending that to, every single person you've ever met. I always recommend sending it to yourself first before sending that out to your clients. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm clicking on Add Contact on the top right of my contact database in Command. Let's go ahead and add in the full name. Okay, now, so for full name, you can go ahead and put in, test contact or test, your spouse's name if you want to do that, whatever you'd like, favorite movie star. I've been watching Thor lately, so I'm going to go ahead and put in Jane Foster. So really any name for this test contact, but for a personal email or for the email address you put in here, let's just go ahead and put in the email address that you would have access to, maybe outside the system. Again, so you can see what it looks like when your clients receive things from you. Now, Command will not allow you to add duplicate email addresses, even if that email is in your archive for the contact. Just a heads up, so make sure you're putting in a unique email that you don't already have in your database. And once you've done that, you can click Create on the bottom. I am just going to explain how relationships work in Command, because I usually get that question when I'm creating a contact. So just a heads up, that's really the only piece of information that you need when creating a contact in Command. However, let's talk about how adding the spouse would work. So you'll see the option to add relationship here. So if that spouse is already in your database, you can click Add Relationship here to go ahead and link up the spouse, or of course, there's a bunch of different relationship statuses as well on the left-hand side. So you can go ahead and search that contact's name. Now, if they are in your database, ideally they'd be already in your database so that when you search, you can simply go ahead and click their name from that dropdown. Now, if they're not already in your database, no biggie, you can actually add them right from here as well. So if I were to add the spouse and click Add, that would add the spouse into my database, but it would just add in their name. So just a heads up, if you are adding a spouse in this way and click on Add, that would just add their name to your database. So you'd have to go on over to their contact record to add any actual contact information. But as you're seeing here, right, Command ideally wants you to have the spouse, right, the husband and wife, whatever the situation might be, entered in separately as two separate contacts in your Command database. Okay, that will allow them both to receive emails from you if you run email campaigns or smart plans, right? But you'll see that we'll be linking up the contacts, right, through this relationship option. So it links the two contact records together, and I'll show you further how it works. But just a heads up, if you have any questions on that, feel free to let me know. Drop in the Zoom chat, or you can of course email me, support@scottleroymarketing.com. Attention, my name, which is Leah, Leah. And I just scroll down slightly and click create. So now I'm going to go ahead and search for that contact on the top left. So now that I have that contact added in, on the top left, I'm going to go ahead and just search for that contact. And then in 9 years, when it loads, you can simply click on the contact's name to pull that up. I'll see if refreshing helps. Not playing nice. I'll just use a different contact, no biggie. All right, so simply search for that contact and click on it to pull that up. Now, whenever you open the contact record, you'll notice on the right-hand side that there's the opportunities option as well. Now, this is the way I prefer to create opportunities and also search for my opportunities, is directly from the contact record. So I'll be showing you that you can locate your opportunities, of course, directly on your pipeline or under all opportunities, as I briefly mentioned under the opportunities icon, right, where my mouse is now. However, I find it much easier to create and search for my opportunities from the contact section of Command. You'll be able to search for that contact and come on over to the opportunity section here to click create opportunity on the top right. This will also allow you to view if you've already created an opportunity for this contact, or if this is an investor client or someone who's going to sell with you and then buy the next home, you'd be able to see all opportunities right from here. And we'll talk about managing those kinds of things. So from here, let's go ahead and click create opportunity on the right-hand side. And I do have notes on these steps as well that I'll share with you right after we fill this box out. All right, so again, in case I lost anyone, in case you're just joining the class right now, so far what we have done is we simply searched for the contact or added a practice contact to our database. Then we're coming on over to the opportunities tab of that contact record to click create opportunity. Actually, I just might as well share the notes with you guys now, so I'm going to. So I'm going to drop in the Zoom chat the link to the notes that I just put, that I have for you guys, rather. And if you're watching this class recorded, I will put these notes in the YouTube description below. All right, so you can access that right away. So just so you know what you're seeing here, first of all, I have notes on the steps we're about to take, so that's why I wanted to pull that up now. And again, this is in the Zoom chat if you guys want to hop on and grab that. However, first of all, right here is where I will go ahead and list the recorded class for today. So if you have to hop off early and you want to keep this open here, I will be updating this. This is a Google Doc. So actually, if you star this on your Chrome toolbar, it'll bookmark it and it'll always have the most up-to-date opportunities information because I update this before every class. All right, so first of all, the recording will be at the top here if you need to hop off early. You'll see some items and I'll be pointing out the applicable items on this list as we go along. What I want to point your attention to right now is these notes I have that I'm walking you through under using DocuSign with Command or using .loop with Command. So depending on which one you're using, here are the notes and a quick video, but the notes, actually, all right, the notes will walk you through that step by step. And actually, let me grab slightly different steps for DocuSign. 1 second. If you're a DocuSign user, hold on 1 sec. I'll add this to the note or to the shared doc too. If you're watching this recorded, it'll already be updated. But let me grab these real quick. There we go. So in the chat, if you are a DocuSign user, I'm going to drop the steps on how to create a transaction in Command. So I just put that in there. That's the second link there. And that's just walking you through the steps we're going through right now. So steps 1, we logged into Command. Step 2, we added our client to our database. Now step 3, this is what we're on now. This is why I wanted to share it with you. Right now we clicked opportunities on the top right of the contact record, and we clicked create opportunity. That's the step we're on right now. So just to let you know, the remaining steps will walk you through using DocuSign. Of course, I have a video on that, right? But I just wanted to point that out. And now let's do those steps. Okay, let me know if you need those notes resent. But again, if you're watching it recorded, just check out the YouTube description. All right, creating an opportunity in Command here. So we do need to fill out the fields that have that red star next to it. The red asterisk in Command will mark if that is a required field. So I'm going to point out the 3 main fields you have to fill out in order to continue. And then I'll cover what the rest of the fields mean too. All right, but the 3 fields you have to fill out, and this is not on the notes if you want to jot this down. Step 1, or the first field rather that you have to fill out is the opportunity type. So we have to select if that is a listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. There's not a way to change this after you create the opportunity initially. So just a heads up, make sure you're selecting the correct one. All right, so we're selecting which pipeline we're putting that on. The second field we have to do something with is client and co-seller. All right, since I'm creating the opportunity from this actual contact record, that's why it's adding that contact in automatically. All right, so, but you can go ahead and add a co-seller here as well. In order to link that up. So you can link up the spouses. Now, again, your contact has to be in your database first in order to create an opportunity with them. Okay, so this co-seller, for example, would have to be in your database first to go ahead and add them in this field. There's not a way to add that person right from the opportunity. And then last but not least, the final field you have to do something with is the commission rate field near the bottom here. And that's just asking for your side of the commission. This is changeable if, God forbid, they haggle you down to 2.5%. How dare they? But this is just talking about your side. So if you normally charge 3%, you can go ahead and put that in. All right, now to quickly overview the other fields that you're seeing here, because they are important as well. But again, those 3 main fields that you have to fill out: opportunity type, client, co-seller section here, and then commission rate. I would now be able to click create and just get started and access DocuSign or Dotloop and manage my transaction from here. So you can really fly through this. I just want to explain quickly the other fields so you feel comfortable. So Market Center, for example, or starting with at the very top left, if you are just a part of one Market Center, you won't need to worry about this field. But if you are a transfer agent or an expansion agent who is active in more than one Keller Williams office, please always make sure you're focusing on that Market Center field to select the correct Market Center this transaction is running through. Not a way to change that after. Okay, team name I'm going to come back to in 1 second. If you're on a team, real estate team, this will really apply to you. So just hang on to that. I'll cover that in a moment. Owner field. Owner field, slightly confusing in my opinion. That is not talking about the owner of the home. That is talking about the owner of the opportunity. So this will have your name in it unless you're on a real estate team. Then that will have your rainmaker's name. Team members, I'll talk to you more about that in a moment. So I'm just skipping the fields we already talked about. And coming on down to the opportunity name. If you do know the property address, please go ahead and add it. Okay, you can change this at any time, the opportunity name, but your office staff does search for opportunities based on the property address, do things like add your earnest money or commission check. So make sure that you are adding in the property address as well, if you know it. Of course, if you're representing the buyer, you won't necessarily know the property address out the gate. Okay, now, as I mentioned, we only have to fill out the fields with the red star. So skipping these. And just coming down to the bottom two options here. So that's just showing you, where do you want this opportunity on your pipeline? Do I want it in that very first opportunity phase, right, with that plant icon, cultivating the relationship, appointment, or is this active? Opportunity stage, we have not talked about quite yet, so hang on to that, but basically it's just a sub stage to this phase on your pipeline, and it'll make a lot more sense in a minute. All right, so if you've done that, you can click create. All right, if you're on a team, I'm going to quickly talk about team member agents. So this is for specifically a tip for if you are on a real estate team. Okay, so if you are in a team, first of all, your contact has to be in your team database in order to create an opportunity with that. So semi-recently, KW split your personal and your team databases in two. In order to create an opportunity on your team pipeline in Command, which you'll generally want to do, as it will allow your Rainmaker to see that. It will allow you to add team members to collaborate on the opportunity. In order to create a team opportunity, your contact needs to be added to the team database directly. So you can do that in one of two ways. You can either pull up your team database, right, by clicking your name on the top right of Command, and go ahead and select the team name and enter them in manually on the team database. Or if this contact is in your personal database and you need that moved to the team, all you'll want to do is click the three dots to the right of the person's name. Click change account. And that will allow you to change that over to the team. Now, just keep in mind, the contact still belongs to you. So you still are that contact owner, right? However, moving that to the team will just allow you to use the team tools in Command with this contact, right? So if that is added to the team, when you go to create an opportunity, the main differences that you'll see is when you select the team name at the top here, first of all, the owner will switch to your Rainmaker's name, which is your lead listing agent on your team, whoever created the team generally. And secondly, an extra field that you will get is this assignee field on the very bottom. So in order to allow your other team members to collaborate on opportunities with you, you would need to add them as an assignee. So your Rainmaker, or lead agent on your team, is able to see all your opportunities. But in order for other team members to be able to collaborate on these opportunities with you, you would need to add them as an assignee. And this will put the opportunity on their pipeline as well. All right, team member agents, if you have any questions on that, let me know. I do have on the notes that I sent out, kind of near the bottom of the first page, we have team transactions overview as well, that I'll give you additional tips on best practices for managing opportunities with teams. All right, so now all agents, if you can come back in, whether you're on a team or a solo agent, the rest will apply to you. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and click create on the bottom here to create that right away. All right, and of course, any questions you guys have as you go along, I know this is a bunch of information to shove in your head at once. You can always ask questions in the Zoom chat, or you can email me and I'd be happy to take a look at your account directly. support@scottloraymarketing.com. Just put attention, my name in the subject, which is Leah, L-E-A-H. So now that I've created that opportunity, let's go ahead and click on the opportunity name to open that up. So simply click on the opportunity name to open that up. And that will show you any opportunity details in that first tab here. But let's take a note of this white toolbar here, right, for all your tools for this opportunity. And really the main thing that you'll be doing is coming to the Documents tab in your opportunity. So the main thing, or the main section that you'll be going to, again, on this white toolbar, is the Documents section. And this section is where you'll go to actually start your room in DocuSign or start your loop in .loop. Okay, it's also where you're going to be submitting your signed paperwork for compliance review, but I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so this is really important for you guys to understand from this class, that whenever you are starting transactions for the first time, it is essential that you go through that workflow that we just did, right? We added the contact to our database first. We then created the opportunity second. And now third, we come to the Documents tab in that opportunity to click Start a Transaction on the right-hand side. And when you do, it'll probably take you directly to either DocuSign or .loop. I just have both linked up, so that's why I see the option to select either. Typically, you'll probably have one or the other. So when you click Start a Transaction, it'll probably take you to DocuSign or .loop directly. However, it is essential that you start your room in DocuSign or your loop in .loop from the opportunity specifically. So it's really important that you do not go to DocuSign directly to create your rooms. And you do not go to your .loop account directly to create your loops. Instead, you want to come to the Documents tab of your opportunity to click Start a Transaction on the right-hand side to start that for the first time. What happens when you do that is it links the opportunity to your room or your loop, and it makes it way easier for you to sync over details to all of your forms, to autofill all of your forms. It also makes it way easier for you to pull over your signed paperwork back to the opportunity to submit for compliance review. And I'll be showing you guys that as we go along here. But once you've created the room, like once you've done that, right, we added the contact, created the opportunity, and then click Start a Transaction. Once you've done that and actually created the DocuSign room, you can then continue going to realestate.docusign.com directly to access that room from there. It is just essential that you start your DocuSign room or your loop in .loop directly from the command opportunity in order to link the two together. KW just requires that workflow for it to be started from here. And then from then on, you can go directly to .loop or directly to realestate.docusign.com to access that. I know that was a lot of information because I'm a little out of breath, but if you have any questions on that, please do not hesitate to let me know. That is really important that you understand, and you just start your transaction in command here from the Documents tab. Now the Documents tab, you'll notice, right, there's a Documents tab in your opportunity, and there's also a Documents tab in your DocuSign room. Okay, if you're using .loop, right, same thing, you access your documents from .loop or DocuSign. Now let's talk about the difference between the Documents tab real quick. If you already started the transaction, so good question, Donna. If you had already started the loop and .loop or the room and DocuSign before creating the opportunity, it's really not the end of the world. I'll show you how you can manually upload your forms. It's just a slight inconvenience, and I do have a tip video on that as well, Donna, that I can send you. However, it's no big deal. There's not a way to go back and link it, unfortunately. Like, you can't reverse the workflow. It has to be done in the specific order, but it's no big deal. I'll show you how to manage that. Just, in the future, I would take those steps to create the opportunity first and then create the DocuSign room or loop. All right, so let's talk about how the Documents tab of your opportunity differs from the documents in your DocuSign room or loop. And this is another one of those really important things that you grasp in today's class if you want to jot down any notes. So the Documents tab of your opportunity here, let's talk about what this is really used for. So on the left-hand side, it may either say pick checklist type, or it may just already say a checklist name like residential. Depends if your market center only has one checklist or multiple. Now your market center is who sets these checklists up for you, and this is showing you which forms are required for which kind of transaction. So I'm on the border, my market center is on the border of North and South Carolina, so that's why I have a couple different checklists here. So you may just only have one or a couple, but go ahead and select, if you have that option, the checklist that would apply to this transaction. Right, and that will generate, first of all, on the left-hand side, it'll generate a listed, under contract, and closed folder. Or if you selected a buyer sale, it's probably just under contract and closed. All right, but depending on which one of these that you select, it will show you the forms that you need to be in compliance. Now, this is in here, this is not where we go to access and sign these forms. This is just a checklist that's showing you which forms are required for you to get your commission check and, stay out of real estate jail and all that. All right, so the documents tab of your DocuSign room or loop, okay, is being used to access your forms, edit your forms, and get those signed by your client. So DocuSign/dot loop is being used between the agent and your client to get your forms signed. Once you have your forms signed, you will then be pulling those signed forms into your opportunity. So you'll be pulling those into your opportunity here to submit the signed paperwork to your office for compliance review. Let me do two things here. First of all, I'm just going to add a practice form so you can see what it looks like when I pull that over. And secondly, I will provide a video on how to access your forms in DocuSign if you do not know how to do that. All right. So first of all, I know I'm skipping a step here, right? In this imaginary example, we've already used DocuSign or dot loop to get our forms electronically signed. And again, I'll share a quick video on that too. However, at this point, we have our form signed by our client. It's in our DocuSign account or dot loop. Okay, it applies either one. And now from the left-hand side, let me refresh real quick. Or right-hand side, rather. Okay, on the right-hand side here, you'll notice a drop-down next to each one of the form names. And it's just a checklist. And that is allowing you to pull the signed copy of the form from this specific DocuSign room or loop over into the opportunity. So all I had to do there was simply click on it from the drop down, and it pulled that form directly from my DocuSign account in here, and it will allow me to click submit to MC on the top. And don't do that right now. It'll allow you to click submit to MC, which would send this opportunity to my Market Center staff to do compliance review on my signed paperwork. Okay, so again, DocuSign or dot loop is being used between the agent and your client to get your access to your forms and get those signed. Then once you get that signed, you'll come to the Documents tab to actually add that signed paperwork and submit to your Market Center for review. Now, the next logical question is, okay, well, when do I do that, right? When do I submit to my Market Center for review? I'm going to quickly overview that for you guys, but just a heads up, you'll want to check in with your office staff primarily on their compliance policies. This differs slightly from Market Center to Market Center. So whatever your Market Center staff says trumps what I say. But just so you have a general idea of when you click the submit to MC button, right? If you are representing the listing, and this is not on the notes, if you want to jot that down, when you're representing the listing, you will be clicking submit to MC in theory 3 times as you go along the transaction. Once when the listing goes live in the MLS and you add your listing paperwork, right? We would add our listing paperwork and click submit to MC. That would prompt your Market Center staff to go through and do compliance on the listing paperwork. Then when you go under contract, you'll do the same thing. We'll come to this under contract tab, add all of our signed paperwork, click submit to MC. There's one extra step when we go under contract, and that is this offers and commissions tab here. And I'll show you that. We do need to submit a commission request when we go under contract, just letting your office know you're closing and how to disperse your commission check. That's something you'll do when you go under contract, and I'll explain that further. And then a third time when you close, right? You'll add your closing paperwork and click submit to MC. So again, if you're representing the listing, that'll be 3 times that you'll click that. If you're representing the buyer, right, typically you'll only submit to your Market Center twice for compliance review, once when you go under contract with all your contract paperwork and that commission request, which I'll show you, and then a second time when you close. Right, just to give you a general idea when that happens, However, anything your office staff says trumps what I said. And just a heads up, if you have a pressing question of how do I access my forms in DocuSign, okay, that video will be right here. So using DocuSign with Command, they'll show you a video of how to access your forms right away, edit the forms, and send for electronic signature. Just a heads up. So that'll be a quick overview of DocuSign, but I also have the DocuSign 101 and 201 classes, the most recent from this month. On the bottom here, those will be great next classes if you are working with DocuSign. And again, these notes are in the Zoom chat. If you need those again, just let me know. All right, so that is the main thing that we do from our opportunity is accessing the Documents tab. Again, gives us access to DocuSign. It gives us, and .loop, it gives us access to submit our signed paperwork for compliance review. Now let's come back to our actual opportunity pipeline so we can customize that. And then I'm going to come back here, guys. So if you have questions on the offers and commissions tab, especially, I'm actually going to show you how you can submit a commission request. I just want to make sure I can show you customizing your pipeline first. So kind of put this in the back of your head. We will come back to this. But for now, if you could join me on the opportunities tab, we're just going to switch gears slightly to talk more about your general pipelines and customizing this for your business, as opposed to, a specific opportunity here. So again, I'm clicking on the opportunities icon on the far left. That's the handshake icon. And we're going to work on customizing our pipeline. Now, if you are on a team and you have a separate pipeline versus your personal, that would need to be separately customized, just a heads up. So whichever pipeline you'd like to customize, I'm going to customize my own here. Let's go ahead and just click on that first phase to actually open our pipeline and see what's in here. All right, so simply I clicked on the cultivate phase on that command dashboard, and that brought me into my actual pipeline. So we can take a look at managing our opportunities. So first of all, at the top, you'll notice those 5 opportunity phases: cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and close. Now, what we didn't see before, though, is we now have stages. So the phases are at the top, and each phase are separated by opportunity stages. Yours are probably named something slightly different than mine. I'm going to show you how to customize this. But my opportunity stages are right below here. And you'll notice if I click on the different opportunity phases, the different stages will change. Now, above and beyond that, one of my favorite features, because I really like checklists, are that you can add action items to each one of these opportunity stages that will help keep you on track of, okay, what action items do I need to do to move this opportunity along my pipeline, right? And I'm going to show you how to add these things in. But you'll notice, right, these checklists are right here on my opportunity. Yours might say 0 out of 0 if you haven't added any yet. No worries, I'll show you that. But just to show you an example of how that would look, I could simply click on that checklist to see which checklist items I need to do for this specific transaction to help me move this along my transaction towards close. All right, so you'll see you'll be able to check items off here. You're even able to notify your clients of these checklist items being completed, right? And I'll show you how to set that up as well. So you can update your clients as you go along that you did complete these items. And then once I've completed those checklist items, I can move that opportunity along my pipeline. So first, I'm just going to show you how to move these opportunities down your pipeline, and then we'll take a look at actually customizing this. So moving your opportunity down the pipeline, you can do so right from here by, if you put your mouse on the left-hand side of that opportunity card, we call it like a handle, I believe, like anytime you see these dots in a rectangle. If I put my mouse over it, it turns into a hand, and I can click and hold. So click and hold my mouse to actually move that down my pipeline. So I can move that to different opportunity stages here. Or you'll notice that up here, right, these got some dotted lines around it as soon as I started to select this. And I can move this to a different opportunity phase as well. Now, please note that whenever you're dragging and dropping it like this, see how the one is blue behind me? If I'm a little over, see now the active one is blue. So just so you don't lose your opportunities, note which one is turning blue, and that's the one that you're selecting to actually drop it into. All right, so now let's talk about, so that's how you go about moving it down the pipeline, but let's talk about customizing these options to really get a better feel on how to actually move them down the pipeline. So let's come on up to edit stages on the very top right. So if I lost anyone, right, all I did so far was, from the opportunities section of command, simply click on any of the phases on your pipeline. So click on cultivate or appointment, any of those, and I'll have the option to edit stages. We're going to be editing the stages in the cultivate phase. If you'd like to join us there, I do have suggestions on how to customize these as well. So we'll click on edit stages on the very top right. And that will show you the stage name. Again, I have mine customized, and I'll show you how. And also the checklist items, which we can customize. So first of all, to update that stage name, I think off default, it's something like watch, nurture, I forgot the last one, something hot maybe. Anyway, I wanted to change that to add in a time frame because that made a little more sense in my head to what each one meant. So to change that, let's come on over to the pencil icon on the far right. All right, so pencil icon on the top or on the far right will allow you to change that stage name. So if you want to change it to match mine, you can change it to watch lead, 6 to 12 months. But I am going to share with you guys, I have suggestions on what checklist items to add, what names to change it to. So on the notes, and I'll share this again in the chat just in case you haven't opened this quite yet. On here, we have a seller opportunity checklist template that I made for you guys, and one for your buyer opportunity checklist template as well. So if I click on the seller opportunity checklist template, it's just an Excel spreadsheet that basically suggests which stage names to include. Okay, so that's what I used. And then I also have checklist suggestions as well, which we're going to be editing next. So I'm going to pull this to my other screen, and I'll keep pulling this over to show you how I select from this. However, that first one we're editing here, that's where I got the watch leads 6 to 12 months. So I could take this and just simply copy it, so highlight and copy. And then I can come on over here, and of course you can manually type that in as well. All right, the probability next to it, I generally don't change just because, I don't know, mathematicians that have that side of the brain already configured the probability, so it's fine. I usually leave that. You can update it, but if you change the stage name, that's the primary thing to update, and click save. So now I can do that for each one of these. And this is completely optional, of course. This is just customizing it to better help your business. But we can go ahead and click the pencil icon to the right of each one to go ahead and, if you'd like to, use the option that I gave you on here. Okay, nurture lead. And I'll share this out directly with you guys in case you're having any trouble grabbing that. So the seller checklist template is in the chat now. All right, so once I have that added in, all right, I can do that for each one and click save. So now here's where things really get exciting, adding in those checklists here. So you'll probably see 0 out of 0 for each one if you haven't updated this quite yet. That's perfectly fine. Well, let's go ahead and click that top one for if it says 0 out of 0. Okay, we can add in action items here. And again, these are items that would help move this transaction down our pipeline. So if you have ideas of what you want to put in, especially as you get to closing or, growing the relationship here, of course, you can put in any items you want by clicking add item to add in that checklist item right away. Now for me, I needed, something visual to, some ideas, something to get me on track here. So this is where this template really comes into play. So I have suggested task items for each one of these opportunity stages. So all I need to do is come in here and copy this. So I can click on it, and you can copy by either right clicking and clicking copy, or you'll see the shortcut there, Command C for any Mac users or Control C for any PC users. You can copy that. Come on over here and right click to paste it, or Command V as in Victor if you're on a Mac, or Control V as in Victor would paste it. It's a shortcut for paste. All right, so you can go ahead and add that and click save. All right, so especially at the, when we're first cultivating the lead, the main things we're doing here is we're trying to complete the contact information, right? Do we have the email of the lead? Should we connect on social media? Do you want to send a text to say, great to meet you, right? Different items like that when we're growing the relationship here. So you can add action items here, and just to finish explaining the action items before we talk about client updates, because that's next. So in theory, you would have to go through and add these checklist items to each individual checklist or each individual stage. All right, so it's a little bit tedious, I will say. All right, but honestly, if you spend about 20, 30 minutes, have this template open that I sent to you guys, and come in here and copy and paste them into each one of these checklists, right? You can just click add item, then check the checklist that I sent you guys, right? Pull it over, see, okay, these are the items I want to add for that action item, for example, right? Copy and paste that over. You will then be able to complete your checklist for each of your opportunity stages. If you guys have questions on that, please let me know. This would have to be manually done at this time. However, it's definitely worth it to go ahead and spend that 20 and 30 minutes of your time to customize this to help personalize your business. Now, as far as client updates go, off default, these checklists are just for you. However, if you want your client to be notified when you complete these action items, you can check that client update option. Right? I love this feature because I find that clients have no idea how much real estate agents truly do. Right? They're like, what do I even pay you for? Well, here's a checklist of all the items that I'm doing for you. So if you were to select the client updates to the right-hand side, you'll see this envelope icon added, right? And that would indicate by default, anytime you check that off, it would be sent to the client the next morning in an email, and it sends them a notification of all the tasks that you have completed for their property, the previous day. So it would go out the next day, right? So especially, if it's things like putting out their yard sign and their lockbox out, putting this listing live on the MLS, getting it measured, whatever the case may be, being able to check off these items and having that go right over to my client is really helpful. Again, that would send that next day. All right, so just to show you fully how client updates work, if you click the check boxes to the right-hand side of those of the actual task, it will off default make that a client update. However, by default, these client updates are off for each opportunity. So you have to manually turn that on for each individual opportunity. This is great because it makes sure that your clients don't accidentally receive emails from you if you don't want them to, right? You do have to manually turn that on. And let me show you how that would work. So I'm going to click on save on the bottom here. And I'm just going to go back to listings. So this little link on the top left. So above edit, cultivate stages, you can click back to listings, cultivate, or whatever this says. It'll take you back to your pipeline. And you'll notice that on each one of my opportunities, it's showing client updates are off. Okay. So in order to have this feature activated for those checklist items to go over to your client, you just simply need to click on the opportunity name. Then on the top right, you'll see client updates. and you need to turn that on. Okay, so again, this is by default, this feature is off, but to turn it on for each opportunity, simply click on the opportunity name, click on client updates on the top right, and go ahead and turn this on to send those daily progress emails. And you can control what time it's sent at, who is sending it. Is that coming from the owner of the contact? And you can click Save Changes. And you can also preview the template too. This is what it looks like. Just to give you an idea of what that looks like when it goes over to the client. They'll have your branding at the top, the property address, and those checklist items, and a picture of the property, as long as you have that property updated right here. Okay, so if you're representing the listing, you will see an option to add the listing to the opportunity. As long as the listing is added here or in the property box right here, if you're representing the buyer, all right, that will show the property address on those client updates. So pretty cool. All right, guys, if you have questions on that, please don't hesitate to let me know. Just to point out that all these items that I'm talking about here are on these notes that I sent out. So I have tip videos that break down how to utilize or break down pretty much what I said into 10-minute tip videos. So things like how to access your forms in DocuSign, how to add forms to your opportunity to submit for compliance review, managing a transaction that goes under contract. This next one, so I've highlighted the ones that I would recommend watching next. I apologize, I did not get to the creating a commission request. However, I would recommend watching this next, creating a commission request. All right, that will show you what to do when you go under contract. Okay, that'll show you how to submit a commission request, which is essentially just telling your office, this is how you're going to disperse my commission check. Am I getting the full commission amount? Am I splitting this commission with another agent in my office, paying an outside referral from this commission? So you will create a commission request each time that you go under contract. So this is just like a 10-15-minute video. If you have some time this evening or whenever you actually go under contract, I would definitely recommend watching that, creating a commission request. All right, guys, if you have any questions about everything we went over today, I absolutely know this was a lot. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. It's support@scottleroymarketing.com. I'll put that on the top of the notes too. And please note that the recorded version of this class will be at the top. It usually takes about 4 hours to upload, it's a big file, but they'll be right at the top here. I'll note that it was updated as well with today's date, so you can grab that and rewatch it if you would like to. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to let me know. These links right here will give you more information. Again, quick little 10-minute, 15-minute videos to further expand on everything I said here today. But you know where I am for questions. So I hope this helped, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you're on this class live, I will be sticking around for any questions that you might have. So feel free to drop that in the Zoom chat. All right, guys, have a great day. Take care.